This may seem like regular Minecraft, but watch what happens when I kill this sheep. Alright, so as I'm spawning in, let's talk about my goals for this video. I only have two goals: kill the Ender Dragon and build a football field. Obviously this won't be regular Minecraft, there's mods on here like the soccer mod and the day counter mod, so I just want to clarify that before proceeding. Okay, we finally spawned in. Let's go get some wood, make a crafting table, make some sticks, then a wooden pickaxe, and a wooden axe. You might have noticed that I have double the amount of hearts, increased speed, and higher jumps, and that's because Ronaldo has double the endurance of an average footballer. His top speed is literally 33.6 kilometers an hour, and his top jump is literally 2.93 meters. For scale, an average Minecraft block is only 1 meter tall, which means Ronaldo can jump almost 3 blocks tall. Anyways, I killed some cows and got some pumpkins. I found some sheep, so I killed them too because I needed wool for beds. I found a cave and settled in there. There wasn't any nearby coal I could find, so I had to get more wood and smelt that for charcoal. Since fuel was pretty limited, I made a campfire to cook my food. Also turns out there was actually coal in the cave. I just didn't notice it before. I wanted to get to farming as soon as possible, so before I went to bed, I set a small farm down this lake. Next day, and it's officially day 2, or you could say day 1 because this day counter mod for some reason counts the first day as day 0. Anyways, I began working on this mine shaft to look for iron and diamonds, but all I found was water. I decided to mine the other way, and again there was water. I managed to mine around it, and I even found myself some iron. I smelted it and crafted myself a bucket and a shield. I saw this ruined portal near the lake, and this has got to be the most luckiest chest ever because it literally gave me the full required amount of obsidian to fill in the entire portal, as well as the flint and steel to light it. I also noticed the village right next to it, but it was going dark, so I ran back to my base. Next day, I figured I could create a farm near where the bees are, and my idea is that the bees would kinda do their pollination thing to make my crops grow faster. However, I needed to burn down this annoying pile of leaves floating in the air first. After that, I set up my farm and added slabs so I don't accidentally jump and trample the crops. I needed more seeds, so I used the Fortune 1 hoe that I found from the ruined portal to gather more seeds. I then crafted some fences because I wanted to make a sheep farm so I can get beds for the Ender Dragon fight. I didn't make any fence gates though because I could literally jump over the fences anyways. I lured 2 sheep in, killed the one that didn't get lured in, and I used string I got from its wool to craft a bow. I also added stairs to the mine shaft to make navigating easier, and then I went back to mining again. I was able to find lots more iron this time, and while waiting for it to smelt, I went to get some wood but got interrupted by this rude skeleton over here. I showed him who's the goat, and I used his remains to make my crops grow faster. I fed the sheep and I went to make shears, but then I accidentally discovered I could make a whistle. I made it and turns out it only makes loud noises. I just wasted 3 iron. I went to the village and I sold this mason villager his own clay from his own home. I took their potatoes and some of their wheat, found even more clay, so I managed to steal that and then sell it back to get more emeralds. There was some pumpkins here, so I took them as well. I went to check out the ravine, but there was literally nothing good in it besides from some coal. I mined the clay from this lake so I could sell it back for emeralds, and I bred the sheep again. It was getting dark, so I went mining instead of going to the village. I didn't sleep because I actually wanted all the mobs to spawn on the surface so that there'd be fewer mobs if I encounter a cave. Too bad I encountered more water again. Like, am I cursed? Why do I keep bumping into water? I navigated through it using the door strat, and turns out the water led to an underwater river cave that had diamonds. Twice. I also found some gold which could be useful for the nether, so I could barter with piglins for ender pearls. I got gravel because I needed flint for fletching tables, but I accidentally uncovered diamonds. Unfortunately though, I got lost in this massive cave, so I had to dig my way back up to the surface. I managed to relocate where my home was through the light, and I finally reached my bed. But got interrupted by this stupid skeleton. Next day though, I used my diamonds to craft a helmet. I used the gold for leggings so I don't get attacked by piglins in the nether, and then I used my iron for my chest plate. I then crafted the fletching table, and before I went to the village, I fed the sheep and worked on the farm first. I sold all the clay for some easy emeralds and then saw an unemployed villager. I got the trade that I wanted, so I sold my emeralds for arrows. I saved 4 emeralds though because I might need the 4 emeralds for later, and 2 stacks of arrows is practically enough. My iron pickaxe was halfway on its durability, so I made a diamond one. I also expanded the sheep farm and saw an enderman, but these annoying mobs kept getting in my way. I literally got lagged here and the creeper exploded. I had to refill this hole with deep slate because it literally didn't give me enough dirt to cover everything. However, while I was filling it up, another creeper came and made it worse. Luckily, I managed to trap the enderman and it dropped the pearl. I saw another enderman, but of course, another creeper came up and it exploded even though I was out of range. This enderman was so annoying to deal with because not only was it refusing to get in the boat, but it didn't even drop a pearl. I found another enderman again and it also didn't drop a pearl. I went back to the previous farm I'd forgotten and all of the crops were grown, so I harvested it and moved the seeds back to where the bees are. I used the bones from skeletons to make bone meal so that I could get more wheat. I fed the sheep and sheared them, but then I noticed some fish being frozen, so I put them out of their misery. I don't know why I made 2 fishing rods, but I set up a little fishing spot and went fishing. I kept getting cod and salmon, but food is food, so I'm not complaining. I went back to feeding the sheep, and at night I came out for endermen, but there were no endermen. Next day it started raining for the first time. I was just harvesting the potatoes, but I kept getting jumped by mobs. I heard an enderman somewhere, and I found him under this cave. I killed him, but no pearls were dropped. I knew that fishing while it was raining gave more frequent catches, so I decided to fish. Aside from getting many fish, I also got a tripwire hook. I crafted myself a crossbow using that hook and tested it out. I took care of the sheep before I went to bed. Next day, I immediately got up and went to the nether. I was near a warp forest, which meant endermen were near, but no matter how many endermen were there, none of them dropped the pearl. I swear, Mojang is against me the same way FIFA is against Ronaldo. I did see a ruined portal sticking out of the lava, so I went there and took the gold. I went back home disappointed and I crafted myself a new axe since mine broke. I used the wool from sheep to get string and then I used the string to make cobwebs. I figured that the current boat method was too hard since enderman kept avoiding it. Next day I came back to the nether with determination this time. I battered with a piglin and not only did I get 3 ender pearls, but I also got better iron boots. I mined the nearby gold and battered again, but sadly no pearls. I set up a cobweb trap and it was working perfectly. I was finally getting pearls. I managed to get all 12 pearls and I went back home only to get a surprise from some zombified piglins. I fed the sheep and then sheared them. I went back to the nether with a new axe and I started mining in a straight line. I wanted to get lots of netherrack so I can use it as a building block when I reach the end, and I also hoped that I would bump into a nether fortress so I could get blazer rods. While mining, I heard the sound of blazes nearby and that means I was near a fortress. I kept on mining until I bumped into this warp forest. I searched around cause I heard blazes, but then I had to go back cause the blaze noises stopped. I thought, okay, maybe the fortress is above me. But nope, I was wrong. I thought, okay, if it's not above, then it's below. And I was right. I looted the chests and I found the blaze spawners. I spawn camped them until I finally got 6 blaze rods, enough for salt blaze powder to finally make 12 eyes of ender. I went back home but got ambushed by mobs on the way back, but they were no match for the group. Next day, I prepped myself for the ender dragon fight. I had to kill some of the sheep for food because I had ran out of my other food sources. I mined some sand so I can create bottles to make Jupiler. In case you don't know what that does, it basically makes you immune to fall damage for 2 minutes, so it's basically a cheaper version of slow falling potion. I then set sail to find the stronghold, however I found not 1, not 2, but 3 ocean monuments literally just a couple hundred blocks away from each other. Like, I never seen one before when I play normal survival, but when I do one of these short challenge videos, that's when I get the rare stuff like this happening. Anyways, I slept because I didn't want to deal with any mobs when finding the stronghold. I followed where the eye kept taking me and turns out the stronghold was right under this lake. I made the mistake of forgetting torches, so I had to use netherrack and flint and steel as a light source. I finally found the end portal room, and turns out this is really lucky because the chances of this happening are only 3%. But enough stat talk, it's time to fight these dragon. We did it! Anyways, I collected the dragon egg and went back to the portal. I got sent back to my original spawn point, but I was able to find my home because it wasn't that far. I placed the dragon egg in my base, but the challenge is still not over because there's still one last thing left to do. And we finally finished the second goal, which was making the football field. As you can see, we got the goalpost and the goalkeeper. Thanks to the soccer mod, we also got a football. I'm gonna try to score a goal.